Greetings, family. This is Dia Nunez with the H2O Network. I hope everyone is doing well. And, of course, we have Maureen Morven and we have Barbara Moreau from Ancient Wisdom Trail. And as you previously know, if you've been watching and keeping up with the H2O Network, whenever Barbara Maureen want to come speak to the people and teach and bring these teachings to the people, the ancient teachings to the people, we will be doing so. So this is our first teaching, and I'm really excited because we're going to go deep. So let me just say and get this out the way. If you're a novice, this might be a little overwhelming because we're dealing with something a lot more in depth. Let me just keep it real. And that's where we're going this year and onward. So welcome to the H2O Network, you guys. Welcome back.
Hello. Thank you. Hi.
Yay. So you guys are running the show. What topic are we speaking about this evening?
Well, one of the messages I got today was to talk about how a lot of people, we hear go within and you get the answers out there, the dimensions, connecting to spirit and all these wonderful teachings that are out there. But it's, when I first heard it, it's like, what do you mean go within? When I had met many horses, he taught the absolute truth, which is walking the absolute truth. And he shared that whole process in 20 minutes and how you can change your own life by doing your own sacred walk. It's your own healing ceremony. And it works with your mind, body, your spirit, your emotions. And I couldn't believe, like, everything I heard is like, I don't think people realize the knowledge that he had was so amazing. It was, you didn't have to look for pieces here and there anymore. It was everything in one shot. And it was really it wasn't hard, but I really wanted people to know how simple healing is. I always hear it's hard. It's like, no, it's simple. It's the power of your voice. It's going within is getting to know your own self, your own past, from your earliest memory till now. So.
Well, this is very appropriate, Barbara, because I'm smiling in the background because it's interesting. You're absolutely correct. People say, go within. But the fact of the matter is, what does that really mean? And I think that people get a misperception about this simple truth about going within. Like, what does that really mean? How do you do it? And you'd be surprised how many people don't really have the conceptualized idea of what that really means. So I'm glad that you guys will be touching on this base because people do make it seem as if healing thyself is very difficult. However, this is very much appropriate with the cosmos and things that are in alignment right now and what is happening. We are being forced to look at the essence of self. I mean, literally being forced. You have no choice. You can run, but you can't hide because, it will keep representing itself in many different forms through different people. And this is very, very important. So continue on. You're very much on point.
Yeah, he always talked about the absolute truth. He said it's remembering a first memory, like the first time you fell in love, and reliving that in that moment. And what you do is you bring back the memory, the feeling, what it looked like, what it smelled like. And when you remember that one specific memory, in the greatest detail you could give it by speaking it out loud, you're bringing in the absolute truth. You're bringing in all the genuine feelings with it. And he said it's really simple to live in that moment of unconditional love by just focusing in on a memory and keeping that love energy alive in your being. And once you bring that love back in, then you just breathe it, like breathing I love you. So you think of the memory. We do this in workshops. So it's just so people understand what unconditional love is and how the absolute truth works with it. So it's like when you first get your baby, when you first have your child, they put your child on your stomach. Or the first time you fall in love, you just think of that memory for a second, and then you'll get chills. And with those chills, what you do is You see it in your mind and you feel it. What does it feel like? And it's just like this wave of good energy. And then you say to yourself, I call the unconditional love back into my being to stay with me, to help me, to guide me, to protect me, to heal me, and to keep me safe from this moment on for the rest of my life. And you breathe it in. Pull in the love, hold your breath, lock it in place, and then every breath in and out after that. I love you in, I love you out. And if you want to feel it on your body, it's I love me in, I love me out. So when you say I love you, it expands the energy. When you say I love me, it brings the energy into your body so you can actually feel what it feels like. So many horses always said, breathe I love you, so that you become a walking prayer by living the absolute truth in that moment by bringing in your love memory. So that love that we bring in is connected to the other side. We directly connect to the other side through unconditional love, peace, and unity when we pull in those memories. And he said, stay there. And once you get there, you get connected to Mother Earth and Creator, because now you're connecting to the other side through a memory of unconditional love. So that's understanding the absolute truth, is reliving that memory moment to moment with great detail. And he said, in our lives, we go through a lot of different things. We go through psychological abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse. We go through all of these different teachings in our lives, in our growing years until now. And from 0 to 7, it sets a foundation of who we are in our lives and what we react to. So this whole teaching teaches us to be proactive instead of always reacting to a trigger. So what he had shared was every memory that we have in our brain is also located in our emotional self, our physical, and our spiritual self. So we have cellular memory where all of our memories are stored in our DNA and in our spiritual being and our physical being. And it comes out as triggers, gut shots. If we hear certain words, smell a certain thing, it's like, okay, I'm feeling that in my body. So our bodies speak to us in those instances. So with all of the teachings that he had shared, he said after you do your walk, the amazing thing about it is you understand why things happened. It's recycled history. It's recycled human behaviors where it goes generation to generation. I remember we had a conversation that we're born into a timeline of beliefs and situations that didn't exist in the generations before, that over time they were added in, and when we're born into it, we just accept it as a belief. There's no question about it. So now it's like, okay, so why do I feel this way? We get to a point in our life where we're like, oh my goodness, there's got to be more to life than this. I remember looking outside the window thinking, there's got to be more to life than this than just going to work, raising kids, doing all these things. There feels like there's a big component in my life missing. And I had searched out different places. I had gone to counseling. I had gone to the church. I had gone to many different places, but it didn't matter where I went. The pain in my heart just stayed really, like it hurt a lot, and I would cry. If I would go to church, I'd go home and cry for 2 days because it was opening a can of worms without any answers. And it left me in a state of confusion. So when I had gotten really sick, I had grown up in a home where there was a lot of recycled teachings from residential school, a lot of the belief systems. So I was born into that generation of taking on those beliefs. I almost feel like I'm all over the place. There's so much to share.
No. It's urgent. And when I'm on air
Yeah.
or I'm making videos, I'm laughing in the background because I do the same thing, because we're at a sense of urgency, humanity and people in their individual lives. And It's very profound what you're saying about the essence of love, because people have no problem encapsulating and activating the ideologies and indoctrinations of something that man has created. But then when you tell them that you have seeds embedded within your very being from the essence of creation that have always been there, that you can activate to open up a portal to your own healing, people are in disbelief. This is how deep the delusions of grandeur are. We have been created based upon the element of love. The only reason why we exist in the universe is because of the frequency of love. Point blank, period. We move in this world because of love, disguised as something else. We have jobs, that we choose because of love. We have people that we choose because of love. We have situations that we choose because of love. So, what you're saying makes so much logical sense. It just makes sense. How can you not activate that? It's like the elephant in the room. It's like the truth is right in front of your face, dancing around. Meanwhile, you're like looking around, like, where can I get help? Where can I get help? Exactly.
The help is within self. It's because only you know your own absolute truth. The absolute truth is the exact facts of your life. Because there's no doctor, no lawyer, no medic, no one can tell you what happened in your life because you lived it. So when you know your own, okay, I can feel it leaving now. Sorry, I'm getting good energy shots from the other side saying, okay, you're on track now. So when you know exactly what happened in your life from your earliest memory till now. See, a lot of people are like, well, I don't remember from 15 on. It's like, well, then just talk from 15 on. Well, I only remember from 2 on. Well, talk from your age of 2 on. What you want to do is talk about your life from your earliest memory till now, in understanding how beliefs are passed on, how we're born into it. I did major research to understand why things happened like today. Well, why is it that I have to be a woman and I have to be married? This is the belief that I was born into, and I still get that once in a while. Well, someone's going to be there to walk with you again, and I'm like, back off, sister, I'm independent now. So we're born into these beliefs, but now things have changed, and we've adapted to the here and now, and women can be independent and on their own. We do have a choice whether we're going to take on a mate for life or not. So those are some of the silly beliefs that were that we're born into. And then when you go back and research what marriage truly is, it's a business contract to keep land in the family, and the father chooses the husband. So, and there is no love, and love didn't come in until the 50s or 60s, and then it took a whole new thing in the 80s and 90s where, marriage is now a union and you can change the seed. So if people get married today and not understand the seed, that the original meaning of marriage is ownership, control, and possession, that's what you bring in if you're not aware of it. But if you're aware of it and you rewrite your own vows, then you can alter those seeded teachings coming into your current relationship. So it's being aware of your past and understand how it affects your present. So everything in our lives starts in history. And so major research into history, into understanding where the beliefs come from, really help dismantle and gives you a choice to say, okay, I'm not going to use that one anymore. I'm going to do something that is more helpful to my spirit and who I am as a human being, with a magnificent spirit. So once we understand where all of these beliefs come in, that we're born into it, that it's okay to research it, it's okay to question it, it's okay to bring things to an understanding. Because many horses always said, when you correct the psychological process of your mind, everything else in your body falls into place, because we need the understanding to know what happened to me. How did it happen? Why did it happen? What does it look like? How did it start in history? And how does it affect my life today? So you take this whole picture and you apply it into your life. Like the whole thing with First Nations and Native Americans is the residential school system was a planned process, that was done to all other nations in the world prior to it coming to North America. They practiced on their own people for thousands of years, so they mastered it, and when it came here, they were able to do it in 1 or 2 generations where they changed the people. And the whole purpose of that was so that it was to gain land, wealth, and was for basically for greed. And they knew, because they knew their own historical teachings about how people are connected to Mother Earth and Creator, they knew that if they disconnected people from Creator and Mother Earth, that they would be like this walking balloon, and they can herd the sheep anywhere they want to go.
Please say that again. Please say that again, because that's very, very, very important.
The governing structures in place knew of ancient teachings, and they still know it today, and they use it to manipulate mankind. They disconnect us from who we are so they can use it against us. We were once connected to Mother Earth and Creator, and what they did was they disconnected us and said, well, from Creator and Mother Earth, and they left us these little bubbles so that we can be herded like sheep through the use of fear and control. They knew that if they disconnected us from our true power, that we can be manipulated. Does that make sense?
Sweetie, it's so on point. Like my hairs on the back of my neck are literally standing up. And we are in a time right now, and I say this like a million times, and I know people are like, if you say this one more time, I'm just going to, I don't know. But it's the truth. It's because Spirit is standing up. The ancestors of all nations are standing up. They are standing up so powerfully strong, and they are pushing information forward for things to be reactivated and to be cleansed, and for generations to, I don't know, the seeds to be disseminated and rebirthed, because right now we're in a time with Pisces and Neptune, the cosmos. I mean, everything is connected, where we have to deal with the generational damage that is parlayed for a very, very long time. We're in a state of emergency. We can't allow this to keep going forward in the way that it is. We have to get back to the ancient ways of being. So, no, it makes complete sense.
Yep. See, when you look at it as human beings are 7 billion strong on one magnificent being, Mother Earth, that we're overtaking her with our sickness, with our own imbalance, not being connected to her or Creator. We're almost like this infestation on her of 7 billion people who are sick, and we're inflicting our pain onto her. So whether we realize it or not, we're all affecting her health. So when we start standing up and saying, okay, I know what to do to help myself, then it just takes one seed to create a ripple effect so that we can help Mother Earth. We can get connected to our guides through self-healing and admitting the things that have happened in our past. We get connected to the other side in multiple dimensions. There's like huge beings that we talk to and that come give us messages to help Mother Earth. We get instructed on ceremonies that we do to help her. We have another one coming up that we're going to be doing. It's really important that people realize in order to help Mother Earth, you need to help yourself first so that you can get in touch with the other side so they can guide you into what ceremonies that need to get done to help her stay in balance through this shift that we're going through. Because we're in it. There's no doubt about it. We're in the shift. It's not as scary. Because people used to be like, oh, the world's going to end. It's like, no, the world's going to change. And we're in it. It's not scary, but we can ease it along for her. And we can ease it along for mankind. And it's really amazing what you can do as a human being, even with your prayers alone. It can really shift things. And there's times where we even go by people and we even say hi to people or talk to them. And we help them without them even knowing, just by saying, hey, how are you doing today? And start sharing stuff with them. Sometimes we'll get random messages. So it's really interesting. So going back to the walk, it's understanding how the brain works. It's understanding how the mind, the body, and the spirit works, and how we're totally connected to Mother Earth. Every element she has, we have it in us. We have oxygen, we have elements, we have water, we have fire within. We have all of those things. And the more we use these ceremonies, old ancient ceremonies, it strengthens it within Mother Earth and within ourselves. First with ourselves, because we're using the elements, we're using fire, we're using water, and then it connects us to Mother Earth. So whatever goodness that we're doing and the prayers that we're doing are directed through us down to her. So it's almost like a two-way street because we're connected to Creator and Mother Earth. And I had shared that last time how to connect was by pulling the energy in and then breathing I love you. And breathing I love you keeps your energy expanded out so that you're not caught up in the negativity of daily life. So when it comes to doing your walk, it's understanding the psychological impact of history and how it created beliefs and perceptions in our mind today, in that it's okay to change it. We've got to give ourselves permission to heal. Like I give myself permission to heal. I give myself permission to walk in the light of Creator's love. I give myself permission to expand my mind. I give myself permission to research. So when you do your healing walk, it's like I give myself permission to walk the absolute truth, to tell the story of my own life. And what I had done was, and I do it on a daily basis too when things come up. It's like I do a daily maintenance. But the main walk, the first one that you do, is you give yourself sacred space, a place where you can be by yourself. You put rocks around you. Make sure that the area that you're in is protected. You could have sea salt in the four corners. You can have rosaries, crosses, whatever it is that you believe in that will bring you protection. You place that around you. And then you give yourself permission. I give myself permission to do my healing walk. And what you do is you can have smudge going. You can have candles going. And what I did was I had laid there and I had started talking. And it's like, okay, I feel really silly, but I need to do this. I have this urgency that I need to get all of this negative life experience out of me so that I can feel whole again, because I'm constantly feeling empty and like there's more to life. And by the time I was done my walk, I was brighter. I wasn't shooting people with energy. My psychic abilities that I had earned got stronger. I was more connected to my guides. My sensing was more accurate. I can read people a mile away because, you know, when they say you're in it, you can't see it, but when you remove yourself, you see it. It's the same thing when you admit what has happened to you in your past. It removes you from being involved in it. It's now watching a movie. And so you're able to read it in other people. And it's not to judge, it's just to understand where they are in their mentality, so you don't take things personal anymore. We only take things personal is when we have done it and we're in denial. When we start admitting the things that we don't like in other people, we have to look at ourselves first. So the whole process of this teaches us to look at ourselves. So you talk from your earliest memory. And I would share it in workshops. It's like, okay, I remember walking down the hallway wearing a diaper, and I'm taking little steps, and I can feel the moisture in the air, and I can see my mom standing there with long, beautiful black hair, and I see little stars on the roof, and she's standing by the kitchen, and it has these silver bars beside the stove, and I go to reach up and grab the pot because I want to help my mom cook, and then she grabs my hand and she moves me back, and with fear, she hits me with fear, and it stings my body. So I pull the stings off my body as I'm talking about it. Because I'm an innocent child, and I don't know that grabbing a hot pot of boiling water is dangerous. So her reaction is to grab my wrist and to move me back and then spank me and say, don't do that, it's dangerous. And then I can see her going, oh, thank goodness you're okay. I'm sorry for spanking you, my girl. So, and in that whole process of understanding that, when I look at it through my eyes, it's like shock. Why is she spanking me? So I take the spank off my diaper, well, where my bum is, and then I keep, then I look at it through her eyes, and it's like she grew up with residential school teachings where you, basically residential school teachings is you spank, you discipline, you explain to them, then you show them love. And with the original teachings is you explain to them. It's like You talk to them, you show them, and you do it with them, and you let them do it by themselves. And that's how you create a child that's resilient. So the teachings that my mom came in with was residential school teachings. So now I understand why she reacted that way. I'm not going to take it personal anymore. And now I understand now in my own life, it's going to fall like dominoes, why I reacted that way with my kids, because of that first seed. So I just kept going with all the first memories. And I just kept telling my guides, okay, guides, I'm asking you to work with me and show me my next memory. They showed me my next memory. I did the same thing in great detail. Show me my next memory. And it was so fast, I had did my whole life in a matter of 3 hours. And I told myself, what I sense and feel doesn't belong to me. I'm only going to watch this. I asked that if there's any physical pain, that I not feel it, that I just want to understand what happened to me and remove the memory cells. Because remember I said all our bodies store our memory cells in our DNA, in our spiritual body, physical body, and in our mind. That the act of admitting, the act of telling it like it is, and pulling the memory cells off shifts our mind. We rewire our brain. We reset our emotional body, our physical body, and our spiritual body. And everything comes back into perfect alignment. Because now you know why these things have happened to you. Now you understand that emotional energy is transferred from person to person. So emotional energy, a belief system is transferred from person to person by the actions and teachings of others. And it's also because you're born into it and you see it in actions with your parents and the things that are being said to you. So you come to realize all of these belief systems that you now have no longer suit you anymore. I don't have to get mad at my kids anymore. I sit and I talk to them and tell them, okay, this is the reality of it. You can either do it this way or do it this way, but this way is a lot better. And when I did it this way, like, I'll be honest with them and say, this is the things that I've done. So the more honest I am with them, it's easier for them to be open and okay to making a better choice. So I've learned not to discipline or give them an earful or spank them. I've learned to talk to them because they are our children that come in are very wise beyond their years, that we don't give them enough credit for understanding what we're sharing. So I talk to my kids like we're best friends, but I don't treat them in the sense that we're best friends. Like high school friends, I treat them like, I'm not going to judge you, I'm not going to condemn you, I'm not going to deny you, but I'm going to tell you like it is. And I'm also going to provide you solutions because I've been there. So it's really amazing how when you do your work, you get to see how things affected your life in your adult years. Like I learned why I used to freak out. I used to get really angry, and then I would talk, and then I would say sorry, and then I would correct myself. But that pattern didn't work. I didn't really have the clear communication skills when I was younger because I was so engulfed in so much emotion that was pent up that it would get stuck in my throat. So anytime that you're trying to speak your absolute truth, there is dark energy out there that will try to stop you. There is, because what happens is in any type of trauma that we have, there is the emotional transfer of energy. There's also a spiritual transfer of energy. Anytime a child has gone through trauma, not only does the negative energy come in as fear and control and dominance, but if there is that person is possessed, whatever possession is with that person will also transfer to that child, like dropping a seed into it and growing into something when they get older. So people need to realize that the spiritual world is very much intertwined with the energetic and physical world. Like the spiritual and energy world is one. And there are dark spirits that are out there that will take us off path. The dark spirits will send people to you to throw you off, especially when you start saying, okay, I'm going to take my healing journey, I'm going to start healing my life. They will send 7 big ones to you to throw you off. So if you're aware of it, then you can get through it with ease and just keeping to your word that I'm going to continue my healing walk. I'm going to keep walking straight. So it's taking all of these different factors into play when you decide to heal, that there's the reality of the spiritual world. And you can feel the energies inside of you, like your heart beating funny, the fluttering, and things trying to come at you to slow you down or to stop you. So whenever you're talking, and if you feel something that's trying to grab your throat, then you pull that energy off and say, I can speak my absolute truth. And if you're feeling heaviness on your heart and say, okay, I'm feeling sad, I let that go, and you pull that off. So as you're speaking, wherever you were touched, wherever you felt the energy go into your body, as you speak on your memories, you pull them off, because it's energy transfer as well as spiritual transfer. And the more you clear yourself, you're clearing your spiritual body, and your physical healing will come overnight. Like the aches and pains that you have will leave, the heaviness on the shoulders will leave. So it's constantly being aware that you can clean yourself, you can pull energy off your body. If your back hurts, it's kind of like, well, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, my back hurts and ignore it. I'm going to put my hand on there and pull the pain off, keep pulling it, because negative energy is really sticky like snot. So sometimes you might need help. Sometimes you could just keep doing it yourself. And usually a lower back is a lack of feeling supported. So it's like, okay, I have to revamp and say, I need to support myself now. I have to be self-resilient and take care of myself now, and not depend on people out there, because I have to be independent for myself so that I can take care of myself. And the more solid you are, you'll find that things that try to throw you off balance won't hit you like that anymore. Yeah, so Maureen's going to add something here. She's just itching. I could just keep going on and on.
Yep. One of the things that I found is, even though after so many years of all different kinds of negative life experiences, it seems like a reactive way to do things, but it's not, because I've been to different places where you deal with one thing at a time. They're random, and it's not in sequence. It's not in chronological order. And so seeds aren't dealt with, and we don't get that. Everything else falls like dominoes effect. And it's very proactive in a way that you don't have to wait for the next trigger to come up to deal with stuff. You could decide, okay, I have this time on this day, I'm going to be all by myself. I can deal with everything then. And it's everybody has what they call imagination. So if you ask your guides to show you memory after memory in chronological order, the ones that need to be healed and removed, then they will show you in your mind, in your imagination, or you will just think about it. So it's very proactive, and it deals with everything.
Well, I'm writing notes, but let me tell you something. When you said, Barbara, that dark forces will send you, when you have decided to take your journey, or you're in a certain place in life, and the opposition will send you someone's situation to deal with, and you will be engulfed in that. I'm just going to put it out there, because we're going down the rabbit hole. We always go down the rabbit hole. I thought of my ex-spouse, because let me tell you something. Sweetie, I love talking to both of you sisters, because just the fact that we're talking about this is a healing. There are many spiritual women that I know, and some men, who will be sent some of the darkest energy disguised. And, in my tradition, we call them
white light.
Yep, we call them Abiku. And they appear to be very normal, but once the dark force pulls you in and you get involved, you begin to unravel the darkness that this person holds, and you realize after the dust is settled, that person was sent to you in a very dark way to trip you up, to knock you off your path. And the damage can be very profound. But when you discover that you actually married or partnered someone who was attached to the opposition, it's a mind blower. It blows your mind, and you just say to yourself, I'm glad that I got away unscathed. But that happens a lot with spiritual people.
Yes, the Dark One will send knights in shining armor to gifted people to throw them off, and Many horses always said, before you commit to a relationship, wait a year so that the icing off the cake will come off and you can see their true face. Because he said, and watch out for red flags. Because I too was caught up in a dark situation for 21 years, from 14 to 35. I committed myself to a man, and when I had left, I had come to that realization that it was to take me off path, so I wasn't supposed to be who I am today, sitting here talking to you.
Yes.
Yeah, so we get people sent to us at a young age to take us off path, but we always find our way back, and it's such a struggle to find your way back, because not only that, they will use your family against you, to try to bring you back to them, to try to bring you back into the darkness. And they will turn your community against you. Like, that's a whole other topic. But it's true. The Dark One does send key people to light, like the people who are of the light, to take them out, to slow them down, and to even stop them. To the point where it will affect their physical health. Because when I was in that situation, I was 100 pounds heavier just from the emotional baggage and stuff being said and done to me that I put weight on to protect myself. When I had left that situation is when I had left the situation, and then I had, and along the lines, met many horses, and he empowered me where I could be myself. He didn't give me rules. He didn't look at me to stop me. He was, if you want to go out and do stuff, then go out and do stuff. But, let's sit down and talk about these things before we do it. And so I just kept walking straight, started exercising, taking vitamins and minerals, and taking different herbs, and reorganizing my brain. Because once I reorganized all of my memories from my earliest memory till now, it lit up my brain like a Christmas tree. And I can use different parts of my brain. I can see more, sense more, feel more. And I thank my guides for it, because they were key and they were instrumental in me finding him. We were both prophesized. Like, he had prophecies that he was going to meet me. He even dreamed of me when he was a little boy. And I had seen visions of him in my teen years. And we had not met each other up until I was 35 was when I met him. And when we came together, the spirits really worked with the both of us, saying, he's going to teach you. So once you find that connection, your guides will make sure that you stay where you were supposed to be, so you're not taken out again. And everything that he had taught me is helped me become who I am today. So there is goodness into healing, because your physical health comes back. The weight falls off. Your mind clears up. You're not foggy. It doesn't feel like you got this big bulby thing on your head anymore. Yeah, so a lot of goodness comes from reorganizing your memories. And the linear thinking is, there's your beginning, there's your middle, there's your end. But in our time, it's all circular. In all ancient cultures, it's all circular. You come in from the other side, and then you live your life, and you go into darkness, and you bring yourself out. So a lot of people don't know how to bring themselves out, and it's just by admitting to what had happened to you in your younger years. And taking a stance, because many horses said, it's like a brand new computer. When you go in and you relive your life, he's like, if you were to go the linear time or beginning, middle, end, and you pick and choose randomly which things you're going to talk about, your energy is always going to go backwards. You're going to be more confused. But when you go back to the beginning of your time until now, it's like you work with your seed, and then you come forward so that your energy is always growing. You're not going backwards or confused anymore. So it's really important to go from the beginning until now. Even if you're finding like insecurity or jealousy is coming up after you've done your walk, then you need to go back and find the first time you felt insecure and jealous, the first time you've seen it, the first time you've done it, and admit it and pull it off. And that is the daily maintenance after your first walk. So, and journaling. I had journaled the very first seeds after I did my walk and after I would do daily maintenance. I would journal the very first seed, like the very first time I got a good spanking. I I wrote it out and then I burnt it. I put tobacco into it and I said, and I wrote at the bottom when it was done, I let it all go. And I read the story back to myself and said, I let it all go, put tobacco in it and burnt it outside and I can feel it leave me. So that was the finalization, is going back and journaling the seeds of the first of psychological abuse, sexual abuse, emotional, and all of that good stuff. Even being in an abusive relationship, like where did I learn those seeds so that I can undo them, so that I don't have to repeat them in the future. So it's a process of removing your own karma. It's a process of freeing yourself so that your future is totally clear. And it's really amazing. And the dark forces can come in through the most unlikely places that you'd ever think of, because it can come through family. It can come through friends.
Yes, they can.
Romantic partnerships. Teachers and healers, dark ones have them too, so they recruit their own healers. Like a lot of people, some know, I say most of them know they're playing with dark stuff, and a lot of them don't know that they're being Muppets to the dark side. So it's really important to heal your life so that you know what is good and what is not good, because your senses are amplified. Like if you have intuition, like the gut feeling, and after you do your walk, your gut feeling is like amplified by like 1,000. If you have sensing of seeing things in the future, after you do your walk, you see all avenues and not just seeing one outcome for the future, but you're seeing like these branches of futures, and you can look and see which one's the safest and make a choice. So your ability to help yourself and keep yourself safe is really important. So,
as soon as I hear the recruitment speech, then I'm out of there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, people will try to pull you away from your path. Maureen and I have experienced that, where they're trying to pull Maureen off to say, oh, let's go do this workshop, and exclude Barb. And they don't realize that our partnership is to honor, like our working partnership is to honor Many Horses teachings in unity. Like we include everyone, we don't pull away. Yeah, so once we start finding that recruitment, then we just send them love and blessings, and we disconnect and send them love and blessings, because they're not the ones meant to help us. They're not the next stepping stone, because Spirit has been sending people to us to help us to get things off the ground and to get the teachings out there so that people know, hey, I'm not alone, and hey, this feels really good, and this is going to work, and I feel it's going to work, and I'm going to take the time. I know when you have children and you have lives, it's really hard to, in your mind, you believe it's hard that I can't make this time to do this walk. Well, you know what? I got a hotel room. And I said, I'm out of here for the night. So you got to give yourself that time. Make the time to do your walk, because your mind and the negative influence from darkness will try to change your mind. Not tonight. You got this to do. Do it next week. And then next week comes, oh, no, you can't do it now. So it's always pushing you off. So it's like, make a firm choice, stick to your guns, and do it. Yeah.
You're absolutely correct about that, because in the past year, I've changed a lot. I've isolated myself, not purposefully, but because I know what my purpose is. I am a shaman, and I have a certain walk that I need to take, and that is a walk that I'm going to have to take alone. There'll be certain people that will be there. However, yeah, man, people will try to pull you off that and pull you into their agenda. Has nothing to do with you and your path. They're like, oh, I'm like, no. So, like, that's been my test, to really stand in my truth and be like, no, sweetie, this is what I'm doing. I don't know what you're doing, but this is what my path is. I have co-signed for this before I came back to the planet, reincarnated as Dia Nunez, in a different priestly form, but I know what my path is. I am a shaman, and I'm walking it. This is, we're not doing the same thing, and you need to be able to understand that. And you get a lot of resistance from people, because they don't understand your path. They want to understand that path, but it's not their path, and they will try to pull the rope and pull you in, to their agenda. And, spirits like this year, you have to stand your truth and who you are and what you represent and the work that you have to do on planet Earth. point blank period. And that's the only way you're going to learn that is by being in the midst of chaos and dealing with people who have an objective to go against that. So you are forced to literally stand in your truth. So you're on point with that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's one thing that many horses always stressed is we're not creating followers. What we are is we're creating leaders within. We're going to share with you all of the things that we have learned so you know what to do to help yourself. You know how to connect to your own higher self, your higher power, your guides, your teachers and dimensions in different places so that you don't have to rely on other people. Because when you start, he always used to say, no human being tells me what to do. I work with my guides only. And he always used to say, you know, when you work with your guides, you can not question them like in a negative way, but you can ask them, what you're sharing with me, is that the absolute truth? And if they say yes, that means it's exact facts. It's not being manipulated by darkness. And you can ask them every time they share a message with you is, are you of divine love, divine light, divine energy? And if they say yes or give a thumbs up, then you know that they are genuine guides. Anytime we get messages, it doesn't matter if Many Horses comes in and talks to me or my grandmother or my auntie or my grandfather. I ask them the same thing over and over again because dark ones can shape shift into light guides.
Yes, they can.
Yes. Yes, and when they talk like riddlers and they don't make sense, they are darkness. When they don't make direct eye contact with you, they are darkness. You have every right to tell them. Are you of divine love, divine light, divine energy? If they say no, then get the heck out of here now. And then you call the angels to take them out. Or you could disintegrate them. But they'll be disintegrated back into healing energy for Mother Earth. So everything is, we're energy transformers. I always used to tell it to Many Horses, like, do you know we're energy transformers? Isn't that cool? It's the intention behind what you want. You direct energy. You can direct spirits that are trapped to the other side. You can direct demonic energy back into neutral energy or healing energy from Mother Earth by just stating it or saying it or seeing it. And that's how powerful we have. That's the power that we have as human beings. Is that when we visualize it, say it, or do it, our guides are going to go do it with us because they're working in unity with us now because they can see us, they can hear us, they can feel us, they can help us because we're no longer dark and have blocks inside of us. We become the light when we remove those energy blocks and past memories stored in our bodies. I hope that makes sense.
No, it does. I'm thinking because I really... Spirit just said you need, not me. I'm just the director behind the scenes. You and Maureen need to have a class on the fabric of that world because it's very important. Some people think that they're talking to certain energies, but what they don't understand is that they disguise themselves as our loved ones, as friends, all kinds of things. And you need to have the right words to ask these energies. Who are you? We need to you guys need to comb over that. So when people are doing their work, they can have tools to recognize. And I think that's a whole nother class that we should do because I think that's really important and it will be useful for all to have these tools because the energy that we're in right now, there are so many portals open where things are leaving and coming onto the planet energies. That people are unaware, but we all feel it, and we all, people on the underground, we call each other, toot, toot, toot. Okay, so this is what's going on today. Did you feel this? Is it okay? Are you getting the same information? Yeah. That's how we do. So
Yeah.
we have we're working with the real internet. You know what I'm saying? So I think that you guys need to do a class and really talk about that so people can differentiate the feeling, what that looks like, all kinds of things, because we're in some really heavy times right now.
Yes. Yeah. With Mother Earth shaking on a daily basis, there's all kinds of darkness being let out. It's like the more we get on top of them, the more they release. So it's almost every day we do prayers. Maureen does prayers, I do prayers. And what it does is it helps. We do prayers specifically to ask Mother Earth's grid lines, because when they break, they just hang there. We ask them to come up and reconnect every day. So if we can get more than one or more than two of us to do that every day, that we can help to stop those vortexes. What you do is you ask for them to come up, to reconnect, to heal, and to close all negative vortexes. And to only allow divine love, light, and energy into this physical world. And what that does is it helps her grid lines heal, not just in the area we're in. We ask for the whole earth to reconnect, all her grid lines to reconnect, because she's constantly moving, because she's going through this shift and changes just like we are. She's awakening just like we are. And what happens is when we do that, we are helping each other as light beings to stop them from coming in and harming mankind. So, and the ones that are released, you ask them to be blessed and purified. So what we do is, like, we'll use a chime, a bowl, and you can chime that at the same time as your prayer, or you can do toning. Yeah, toning, and you can do that with your prayers as well, and that will set the ripple effect out to Mother Earth. And what we do for her impacts the universe. It impacts everyone on Mother Earth. So it's really important to do those things daily, is to ask for prayers for Mother Earth, for her healing and her grid lines to heal, because there's nothing we could do about her shifting and moving, but we can help her grid lines and the energy parts of her. So that
help her labor pains.
Yeah, help her labor pains.
We most definitely are going through labor pains. That is very on point.
Yeah. So she's going through a new birthing process too. Yeah, so it's really important that we start working together, even if it's in small pockets or individuals, of knowing what to do. We do water ceremonies. Many horses used to go out every morning, and I used to watch him stand there and put his arms up and say, I love you, Mother Earth. I love you, Creator. I love you, all elements of creation that are sacred and divine. Like, he has such beautiful prayers, and I still continue them. So then you ask for a blessing on everything. Yeah. Even just saying, I love you, Mother Earth, is a blessing to her. It's helping her heal. So every morning when I look out the window, it's like, I love you, Mother Earth. And then it's, as soon as you say, I love you to her, because you're giving that love to her, it goes like this, and she gives it back. So it's like, it's a blessing to each other. It's almost like a figure eight.
Yes, it is.
So, yeah, it is. And even when you ask for blessings on the universe will bless you back. And you feel it instantly. It's just like, woohoo! Like, energy junkie, give me some more.
Give me some more. It gets me high. And
yes.
I have one question to ask you guys, and I hate to ask it, but I have to ask it, because this is what we're in. You know, you talk about the indoctrination and the psychology of individuals and what we've collected. Yeah. Now that we have a certain person sitting in a certain place and in that place called the government, you see people's collective wounds. I refuse to say that person's name, because, you know, when you say a person's name, it emanates ache, it emanates frequency. Therefore, you rise up that energy. So I refuse to say that person's name. However, one of the things that I find interesting, and you said spiritual people need to do their thing so they can go out there and heal others. Well, let me tell you something. I've seen a lot of spiritual people really activated in this energy with this person, and they tell it on the mountain. Now, side note, I know that there are activists in the world who have that role. That is their contract. That's a whole nother thing. But I see people literally permeating in that negative energy on a regular basis, and, Spirit's like, no, just go sit in the corner. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be doing A, B, C, and D. What is your thoughts on that, you guys?
Yeah, it's like dying water. So it's the environment that we're in. Everything affects us whether we like it or not. And many horses always used to say, if you don't drink and you go to a bar and you sit in it long enough, you're going to start drinking with everyone else. So he said, be proactive. Prayers. Like, I remember sitting at an assembly telling them, you can change people's minds with their decisions if you pray in unity. If you want the betterment of mankind, for the heads of government or people in key positions to make positive changes, you can talk to your guides to talk to their guides to change their mind. But it's for everything that you ask for is going to be very specific and very detailed, and it's for the highest good of all. So prayers are super important. That was the one thing that came up, is people need to know how powerful prayers can be when done in unison. And that's why I like writing them out on Facebook, because people will come back and say, I read it out loud and I could feel it. So if you can have a designated person who wants or has a prayer shared with them by Spirit, they could just put it on Facebook, and people, as they read it and even as they say it out loud, it will activate that prayer the more it goes on. So I always believe what you react to, you're feeding. So don't react, be proactive. What's the solution? What can you do to help them? Because a lot of times when people are in places of authority, many times they're bully-like, and they think they know what's best, and they haven't lived at a grassroots level. And people who are bullies are really actually hurt children. They never really had genuine love. So they really need lots of blessings and lots of love sent to them, and forgiveness. Yeah, so it's better to send goodness than to send negativity, because when you send, the way many horses used to explain it to me is, your level is up here. And if you come to someone who is a lower level and they piss you off, your level goes like this, because you're connecting with them. He's like, keep yourself up here and send goodness down to help bring them up. So you can help people awaken that way. You can send the messages too.
There's always a neutralizing energy too for negative energy. Like if somebody's sending a lot of hate through racism and all of that, unconditional love is a good neutralizing energy for all of it.
Yep. And I know one time when, when I had lived up north, we needed to get a lady to call us. She only called on Sundays. It was a family member. So that night before we went to bed, it's like, okay, all we have to do is say for 2 minutes, call home, call home, call home. This person, call home. So the ex and I had done that. And the next day she phoned and she's like, I don't know why I'm calling today. She's like, I don't normally call till Sundays. So you can influence that way as well. If you have one or more people to influence, like to change a person's mind or to influence them, you could do that. You can send messages out there and it will hit them. So we can do amazing things as long as it doesn't affect their free will or cause harm. Yeah, because remember, what you put out there comes back. And if it doesn't hit you, it'll go to your children. So you always make sure you make decisions that are for the best of everyone.
Well, I thank you and Maureen for never seeing anything in that world through your news feed. And there are certain people that I know, I never see that. What I see is healing and prayer in their craft of being the shaman or being the teacher, and I thank you for that. Because people don't realize when one does ritual, once you join on the bandwagon, you've just amplified the energy. And again, there's always a side note. People have been contracted by spirit to come here and be the water bearers, for the earth. That's a completely different story when you have contracted to be the activist. But to perpetuate that energy, I thank you for me not seeing that. And again, there are many people and teachers that I have in my network who they are really living out this energy of healing and putting that out there, because they understand the more that one heals and puts that energy out there, they're healing the collective invisibly, and other people who are unaware don't really get that and understand, but I get it, and I appreciate both of you, and I love you very much.
Love you too, sister.
Love you too.
So when are we going? What is going to be the next topic for discussion when you guys come back on the 8 Show Network? Because people always ask me, so what's going to be the next topic? So I can just throw it out there.
Well, usually we wait for messages from Spirit, and it feels like we can share, like, how to work with your guides, like, protections and stuff. Or we could just go with the flow. That seems to work.
If we plan it and they decide to change it, it just changes.
Yeah.
Well, I know about that one. That's why they call us the H2O Network. We flow like water.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And we like being the seeds that ripple out the goodness. The world needs more goodness.
Absolutely. And I really look forward. I always look forward. I tell you, when you and certain people come on to the H Show Network, for me and my consciousness, it's like medicine. I just received some medicine for my spirit. And I thank you for all the things that you do for humanity and coming on the H Show Network to share with the people, because I think that a lot of people, I'm not going to say I know that a lot of people have been waiting for this. They've been waiting for the elders to stand up in a certain type of way to speak about the ancient ways from all of the tribes across the globe, so we can do the work that we need to do. And I just love you guys so much, and I can't wait till you come back on the 8 Show Network, and I know the listeners feel the same way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Family, I send you a lot of love. There is nothing more to say. What has been said, you heard from these beautiful sisters online. We'll be back on the 8 Show Network very soon. I send you all a lot of love. Please stand in your truth. At this point in time in humanity, we can no longer stand by the side of the road and let things pass us by. We have got to begin to heal self and project that energy throughout the ether. Stand in your truth. And until next time, family, love you. Thank you, sisters.
Bye. See you soon.